and welcome to episode 489 of the God is a Geek podcast. We are not far away from being into single digits before we hit 500, although long-time listeners will know that it's not really episode 500 anyway. We just lost count somewhere in the middle. My name's Adam Cook, I'm your host, and I'm joined this week by Mr. Lyle Carr. Hello, Lyle.
Hello, it's just me this week. And a more intimate show, some would say.
It's just you and just me. Unfortunately, we've had to bring the podcast. If you're watching live or going to watch live, and you suddenly realise, oh, they've already done it, we had to bring it forward because of the Queen's Jubilee, which means
so much to us all.
It means
what does it mean?
It means Chris Hyde isn't here this week because he's obviously with the royal family personally.
Yeah,
it's important that he has to be there. Shake the right hands, grease the correct palms. Obviously, it's you don't stay nobility. You've got to put the knob in nobility. And something.
Chris Hyde really does.
Yes, and I really hope he's watching this because he knows we love him. But there's plenty of games to talk about. There's also plenty of games that we can't talk about. But let's not focus on those. Should we get letters in the post or whatever? However, people sue each other these days via Twitter, probably. It's mainly Lyle. I don't think I've played anything I can talk about this week. Except for the one game you've played. I have played about an hour of. So
that's our one bit of talking point, and I guess we'll start with the game we've at least both played some of, and that is Card Shark, the latest Devolver published game about basically cheating at cards a lot. Card Shark's a very weird game. Card Shark's unlike anything I can really think of that I've played before. It's set in 18th century France, and you play as a mute man who's in like a sort of abusive relationship, and you get tempted by a mysterious stranger called... Oh no. I practiced this. I was ready for this. The Comte...
Comte?
The Comte do something. Oh no. I think it's also a football team, the name. Yeah, I was hoping that would be.
I'll look it
Saint-Germain.
up. Oh, Paris, as in Paris Saint-Germain, yeah. Yeah. That's right, yeah.
That's him.
True. Yeah.
Possibly. I read that like a few extra times so I'd be ready for the podcast, and it just completely went.
You can just call him LeConte or LeConte if you want.
LeConte.
I mean, yeah, it's fine.
A little close to something else, but yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
So you meet him, and he sort of tempts you into joining him to help cheat at cards. So you pour wine for him and for him and the people he's playing cards with, and as you pour the wine, you have to look in the hands of the people that you are pouring the wine of and count up how many cards in each suit they have, so you can tell which one is the most, and then use a cleaning rag to sort of do a little symbol on the table.
And we do need to discuss that. That. I will also say, at that point, knowing what I knew about it from my other people's previews and playing that part of it, I was at that point thinking, this is cool, this is the game. The game is progressively going to get more difficult. I have to pour wine and do the motion. And I thought, this is it. It's not
and it's nowhere near it.
It's not even part... Well,
yeah.
It's very small part of it.
I believe there's 28 different, I think they call them techniques, that are like ways to cheat. And yeah, this is the first one. And this is like probably one of the simplest ones because it gets complex quick.
Yes.
But yeah, as you progress, like you'll learn how to stack a deck, and you'll have to in-jog cards, which is basically having them stuck out a little bit, which is like a real world magician kind of thing. But so you can, like, when you split the deck and restack it, so you can feel where the cards are going to be and then deal them in that order. And then you learn how to do like fake types of shuffling, and all of these things you do are like, they're almost like mini games, but they're very complex mini games. You have to learn and practice and practice and practice. Like, I can't stress enough how much a lot of this game is being taught by your seedy companion in the back of like the carriage on the way to the place you're going to try and scam people, how to do these different tricks. And he'll often say, "Oh, do you want to practice this again?" And like you should almost always say yes a couple of times.
Oh, there was one of them. I think I did it 6 or 7 times because I thought I am just not going. Unless this is like proper muscle memory, I'm going to fail this every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really difficult, but at the same time, once you master one and once you use it to like really like effectively to trick these people and to sort of get information out of them almost, because in the end, the real sort of goal of the game is not just to get money. You're kind of trying to discover the secrets of the upper class in France, and like, you know, secrets that could shake up the very nature of the country and things like that. It's there's a big overarching story of nobility, and to find out all the mysteries of the game, you just play cards in really very weird different ways. It's just it's such a like I really haven't played anything like it. The only thing that makes the thing it reminds me of is when I first played the first Ace Attorney game on the DS, and I was like, holy shit, games can be this. Like, it was just a moment where I was like, I never could have dreamed that I would be playing a game where it was like I was playing as a defense attorney and presenting evidence. It's like, it's a similar thing of like, I can't believe I'm playing a game that's sort of about like magic tricks / con artistry, and also it's set as if it's not weird enough. They also set it in 18th century France, just as the just as like the extra thing. But yeah, it's so varied.
Well, doesn't it?
It looks really really nice.
Style. I would say the only game that popped up in my mind, but I don't think they're adjacent at all. More in terms of how unique it is, would be, I don't know if you ever played Pony Island.
I did play Pony Island.
Like, how that game is kind of like nothing else at all.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that this is like Pony Island, but it's in that ballpark of like, you've not played anything like this. And that's not me saying, oh my God, go and play it right now. But I am just saying, like, you know, in terms of what Lyle said there, it is so unique. Because I want to talk to you about the difficulty. Right?
Yes.
Because I actually I haven't played all the way through it, and I switched it. When I finished a session of it, something else came along basically, and I turned the difficulty down, and I was like, well, when I want to play this again, I'm going to play this on easy. Okay.
Yeah.
I found some of the windows, I don't know if it's just me getting old or my memory, or I don't know what, but I found some of the windows. What I would say, I think this is a tough game. Not in terms of like,
definitely.
Like I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's not like a Souls hard, type of game. It's more. You have to be quick. Like when you're pouring, I found it really difficult to. So like, let's go right back to the mechanics of the. So you pour the wine with like you push the stick in and you pour the wine. And the idea is that if you pour too little, they'll be like, "Why are you not giving me a full glass of wine?" Or if you pour too much, it will spill over. And again, you'll be like, "What the hell are you doing?" You're kind of giving the game away, because the idea is you're supposed to be pouring and looking over there. Oh, he's got an ace of okay, and then. Like you say, once you do that, like there's different mechanics for it, if I remember correctly. But the first one is that you basically, because you're a waiter, you pour the wine, and then to tell Leconte his what it is, you left to right is one signal, up and down is one signal, clockwise and anti-clockwise are the 4, diamonds, spade, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It does change and develop, but like that first one in particular, I found very tricky because it's tutorial, like say, I'm probably wrong, but let's say clockwise like that's hearts, so they've got hearts.
That's right.
Okay, well there you go. That was pure guesswork. But I actually would forget that very quickly, and then I'd be like, oh shit, it was diamonds. I don't know what that is. I can't remember. And it does. So if you start doing that, it
reveals it a little
sort of
bit.
let go quickly, so you can still do it. But I found the sort of time window for pouring and checking is pretty tight. Like it ain't messing around. Like if it's not. Frequently was over pouring.
Yeah. I don't want to say this because it makes me sound like a dickhead, right? But I haven't ever under or over poured, and I'm sorry to say this. It wasn't something that but at the same time, I think more often than not, what I did was I looked at the cards for such a brief time, and I was like, I think it was mainly diamonds.
But this is what I found myself doing. Is like when I was doing it, it's like. It's almost like you do see it, but not consciously. It's almost like that kind of unconscious sort of, subconscious thing where you somehow know that although you were concentrating on pouring the wine, you somehow know that there was a king of diamonds. So and I don't know. I did even when I thought I was like, no chance here. I would get it right, and I was like, oh, something's going in here. You know, some information on the screen is filtering into my brain here because I am getting it, and it's a really small part of the game. Like, I'll be honest with you, I preferred it. I liked it more when it started doing the deck stuff and the kind of magic tricks, I guess.
Yeah.
I really like that stuff. That's really, like you say. I mean, if you want to boil it down to it being a card game, it kind of isn't. But let's just say, for that sake, it starts off like that. It very quickly becomes this game where you are essentially doing magic tricks. And I've never played a game where you do magic tricks.
No,
I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's got to have happened somewhere, but at the same time, like, the idea of using like controls to mechanically do a magic trick, that's like it's hard to even imagine how you'd translate that. And a lot of it is like the control sticks in different directions, which I imagine sort of supposed to be like your thumb slightly moving cards around and stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, it's really interesting. I think the fact that there are difficulty options, that is an important thing. If you're going in and you're finding it too hard, I think changing it pretty quickly is a very good idea. Alongside that, there are hints as well. So if you turn on hints for the one where you're doing you're cleaning with the rag to symbolize the suits, if you press the hint button, it literally tells you what that suit is. So you can if you're really struggling, like you want to experience the story and maybe just like, or there's just one you're not enjoying or you can't get to grips with, then that option's there, and it's really good to have that.
That's great to hear. I haven't gone back since. I will, but I was wondering like what do the difficulty options do, because my assumption was that probably putting it on easy probably gives you a longer window for pouring or something. But also that's really good. So you could that's great to see. That is something. I mean, maybe I'd say it might just be one of those things where I was playing it and I was tired. And it's like it really requires concentration, like a lot of
100%. Like there's not been a single time I've played Card Shark where I've been able to casually watch a bit of TV in the background or anything like that. There's none of that. It needs your full attention. Yes. You need to be in full alert working order, not tired, not drunk, not like you need to be playing it at peak performance, because
and to be honest with you,
needs to absorb it.
There was lots of people going in front of the telly and the kids were in and out, and it was one of those where I was a bit distracted. That said, I still think I probably would play it on easy just to give myself a bit more of the sort of accessibility side of it.
Yeah, totally.
It's just so strange because it's like whatever you think, if you're like listening to us now, whatever you think it is, I still think it's probably something more than that. Like there is definitely a demo. I think there's a demo on Switch.
There is, yeah.
I would really heartily recommend people go and have a look, because we're going to get into a period soon where probably all of the games we talk about this episode are going to get sort of left behind almost, I would imagine. And Card Shark, from what I've played, it would be a great shame for that not to I mean, from what I've seen, it's pretty much reviewing well across the board.
It seems to
9?
be, yeah.
9 out of 10?
I gave it a 9, yeah. This was entirely my kind of game, though. Yeah. Like, if there's one thing I like, it's things that are very unusual. So, yeah, this really worked for me. And I do think that as long as you've got a bit of patience and can maybe, find quiet situations where you don't mind learning and relearning and figuring out mechanics that are quite, intricate and... a bit hard to absorb in some situations, especially some of them. As long as you are someone who's going to be able to find that time, this could be a game you really enjoy. But especially check out the demo.
Yeah, I don't think it's the kind of game where being on Switch, you have a quick sort of 10 minutes while you're on the toilet. I don't think it's that game.
No, definitely not.
But it's weird. You mentioned about you like games that are weird and that, which brings us kind of neatly onto Silt, because
it does.
What the vibe I got from it was that it looked like a kind of limbo-y, inside-y type of thing, maybe underwater, perhaps. But you've played it, so you tell me.
I think that's not a bad description. It's it's definitely a very dark game. It's black and white. It's really, really beautiful. Hand-drawn aesthetic is it's kind of sometimes it'll zoom out in an area in there's I think in one of the trailers they showed it zooming out as you're weaving through these pillars, and it turns out that they're the teeth of the biggest fucking fish you've ever seen. And there are just quite a lot of moments where it's you have a moment of awe of oh shit, this is a really impressive environment I'm in that's also sinister as fuck. And yeah, the gameplay, the main problem is it's a little slow. like a lot of games in the water or levels in the water are, it's just a little bit slow moving, which is a shame. But the main hook of the game is your little diver guy, who, as far as I know, is nameless, can uh, possess fish, essentially possess the sea life under the sea. So like you press a button and a light comes like sort of weaving out of your helmet, out of
Sounds
your
like
head,
Echo the
and like
Dolphin when you do the sonar
yeah,
thing.
it really is. Yeah, it's kind of similar, but so you'll go to like maybe you'll go into a like a sort of piranha-ish fish, and it can bite through like these cables that are blocking the way in one direction, or you go into a hammerhead shark and it can break down walls. On the sort of simple level. But then as you go on, the puzzles just sort of progress and get more and more, needing to do different like bits. Like a fairly early on, but kind of complex puzzle is you can possess if you possess a really small fish and then swim to other small fish, you sort of shoal with them. So
Right.
you like gather up more and more of them. And there's one early on puzzle where you swim into if you swim into some sort of like poisonous fog, it doesn't kill the fish. But
Okay.
if you then swim there's these other like big piranha, like fly trap almost, like things that your diver can't get past. But if you let each one of them eat one of the poisoned fish, then they die and you can swim through. So it's kind of nice to just sort of like a fairly easygoing puzzle.
So why is it called Silt and not like fish?
I don't know. I don't know why it's called
Oh,
Silt at
okay.
all.
Fair enough.
I can't tell you. Basically nothing in the game is ever explained. Like you're in
Okay.
these bleak, almost Lovecraftian like water environments. There's like weird statues and stuff like that. The only thing you ever know is that you're in like deep in the ocean, but I guess there's some sort of like some things lived there at some point. But like yeah, it's very atmospheric. Like a lot of the times when something comes out of the darkness towards you and it's like a particularly horrific monster, like it made me jump as sort of a 2D game, and I wasn't expecting to just be exploring this nice puzzle game and then some sort of nightmare creature from the deep just swim out of the corner of the screen and eat my diver hole. But yeah, the main issue with Silt is it's a little bit slow. Like there are bits in between, like the sort of like main, almost like levels. Like you go somewhere between each sort of objective. Basically, you go to like a mysterious location, and in that location, because of something that's happening with the background, because there's like some sort of weird effects going on, I was never able to tell that I was even swimming, and it felt like I was just trying to go in one direction for about 10 minutes, and it was just utterly miserable. And it happens constantly. There's just these moments where, like, I think it's because the visuals are quite impressive, they're kind of expecting you to take it all in, and it's just like, but it's taking me like quite a few minutes to get from one side of the screen to the other, and I'd kind of like to just be playing around and having fun with
Right.
possessing fish,
Yeah.
because that core mechanic, that's a fun idea. I mean, it's kind of, Echo the Dolphin-esque, as you said, but like, I like the idea of possessing different things and using them to do different things. There's plenty of games that have done it before, and yeah, a little slow moving, but like kind of enjoyable.
It doesn't sound like my cup of tea. Like it
No,
does sound like, I'm trying to think of another game that there's definitely a game that did this recently where it's sort of, it wants you to appreciate what you're seeing, but it kind of smells its own farts by doing it a bit too much. And it's like,
yeah,
I get it. I got it the first 3 times, but now I am just, for example, holding right and literally this is barely interactive. And
yeah,
that's kind of a turn off for me. Like I don't get me wrong, I like games that are all story and all mysterious and stuff, but I do want some level of interactivity.
yeah.
Whether
And when
that's,
it's interactive,
yeah,
it still is a good game. It's enjoyable. I like the puzzle elements, but like there are certainly like screens of Silt where like I'd hang that on a wall and just think that's a
yeah.
really nice thing to get to have a look at. But like I don't want to be just sat like with it in the background slowly moving around for
No, you want to
a
be
long time.
doing. Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, I'm trying to think when what this was it revealed recently or something. I
It
want to
was on
say
the Nintendo
it was
Indie
the Switch,
World,
wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah, that's
recently.
right. Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
Yeah,
there's always a couple of like crackers on there, and there are always some you just don't know until you play them.
yeah.
Another game, I guess, that's I think on Switch. I think Kao the Kangaroo? KO?
KO, like a knockout punch because he's got boxing gloves on.
Oh wow! I don't want to play this now.
No,
like now you said that. That's I'd never heard of this series until you previewed it. And
I hadn't either, and it's really old.
This is the thing. I feel like I should have, unless I just have completely, wiped my memory of it. But it looks like. I mean, I'm pleased to say that there are more 3D platformers being made now. It almost looks like a character from Crash Bandicoot made into its own game.
Yeah. The comparisons to Crash Bandicoot are very, very, very apt.
Right.
It's basically Kao the Kangaroo is the most 3D platformer that ever did 3D platformer.
Okay.
Like, it is, you go into a stage, there are different shiny shit to collect. There's letters that spell out KO's name, so KANO, like the Kong
just
letters
three,
in
not
Donkey
like the
Kong.
whole.
No, not the and then Kangaroo.
Yeah, that would be great. Or if it had a surname or something, KO Kangaroo.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really bothering me.
I'm sorry,
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I just I'm looking at it written on the screen and I can see it now.
Yeah, but no, I thought the same until I heard it said out loud in the game.
KO.
But just KO, and you collect there's a collectible that opens up. You have to get enough of to open up each new level.
And does he box with is that his attack? Like
he does, yeah. So I'd say like the sort of standout thing of KO the Kangaroo, if there's anything that isn't just this is kind of in most 3D platformers, it is the combat. They kind of put a bit of emphasis on like the boxing combat, which is like you basically. I mean, I say that it's still very simple. You essentially smash the square button. I was playing it on PlayStation, obviously. You sort of smash the square button to just sort of do a combo, a long combo, and then once you've done enough of a combo, you fill up like a meter, and the triangle button is like your sort of like this big smash attack that will probably kill whoever you use it on and stun everything else around you. So it's like there are sort of like combat sequences that are a bit different, but like outside of that, it's a very like authentic of the early 2000s 3D platformer, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you enjoy unlocking all different powers, like you have like a fire power you collect in some levels, and you can melt ice or cobwebs that block doors, or you can get an ice power for your gloves, and that like freezes the ground so you can like push these boxes around on it. And like there are little puzzle elements like that too. But I mean, a lot of the time you're going to be jumping from a platform to a platform. You might like you can jump, double jump. He's got like a spin attack, a definitely not Crash Bandicoot spin attack. There was even a level in one of the worlds that was the Crash Bandicoot where you're sort of running towards the camera levels, so you're being like chased. Like that happened, and I was just like, oh yeah, it's just that like
thing.
It's just that thing from Crash Bandicoot. And I mean, there's like. It has some, like, it was enjoyable to play, but it's one of those games where it's like, I mean, if you've played it, like, if it wasn't important to explain more about the game, the review probably could have been like, have you played a 3D platformer before?
Yeah.
Like, this is a fairly good one. You'll probably have fun with it. It has a few issues. But like
does it do? Oh, what's the name of the damn game? Not the Banjo-Kazooie, the modern one, the one that people fucking hell, it's still ukulele. Like, so I really liked the second ukulele game, the 2D one. I thought it was great. The first one I thought was like it was very, in terms of paying homage to that thing it was making. It did it well, but it kind of almost followed it too much to be like, so it was like, I don't need to hear all the animal noises repeated. Like, does it? Have you played that? What would you rather play of the two, if that makes sense?
I'd rather play ukulele of the two.
The original ukulele.
The original ukulele. I quite like what I liked about the original ukulele was that I was a huge Banjo-Kazooie fan. Right. So getting more of that, and I would say it was just more of that. It wasn't modernized that. It was more of that pretty much.
It was just that in HD.
Yeah, totally. And I enjoyed that. Whereas here, there are some things that are a little bit less ideal. Like the collectibles, like whereas in a lot of 3D platformers, you'd be collecting these things and they'd maybe give you like health upgrades or they'd lead to something. And in KO, there's the ones that unlock levels, which are usually really easy to find, just like practically at checkpoints in the level. But then the other ones, the letters that spell out KO, they unlock an outfit that you can buy. So it's like it's a cosmetic. There are blue crystals that I've played the entire game and I still don't know what they do. Like there's like 7 or 8 of them in each level, and I was like, okay, I'll try and collect all these, and I still don't know why I was collecting all these.
Wow.
And like, if you're someone who really enjoys collecting stuff and getting 100% and don't necessarily need the drive of why you're doing it, I mean, I guess that could be fun for you. But like, for me, I was just kind of there, like, I mean, why? Like, I got towards sort of the last world or so, and I was just sort of like, okay, well, I'm just gonna run to the end now, I guess, because I don't really need anything anymore. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Alongside that as well, the story and voice acting are like as bottom of the barrel as it gets, unfortunately.
Really?
Like, I know, like, it's not really important, but like every time KO spoke, I did want to slap him a bit.
Yeah, that ain't good.
And it's just not what you want, is it?
No,
but,
it isn't.
I mean, if you are really starving for a 3D platformer and you like collecting things and don't necessarily mind knowing why you're collecting
even collecting them, yeah.
Yeah. Like, 3D platformers still give me a bit of a warm, fuzzy feeling as just like a genre that makes me happy, that like brings me back to childhood almost. So like, it did feel nice to be playing it, and like, it's just that after a couple of worlds I kind of saw like the issues. I saw where like it was peeling away behind the shiny glow.
Yeah, that's a shame. I was looking at this going, I might have to look at that, but I'm not so sure now. I'm definitely not so sure about this because I've never heard of this game. I believe it's called Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus.
It is called Who Pressed Mute.
So I mean, the stage is yours, Lyle.
Yeah. So I was looking for a game. I had a friend coming over for the weekend, and we've enjoyed playing through some FMV games together that are, a little bit campy, a little bit silly, often overacted, but in that way that you just kind of love. So I'd heard of this game called Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus, and this Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus is a FMV game about your Uncle Marcus. He met up with all of your family the night before the game's set, and one of the family poisoned him, so he's dying. Uncle Marcus is dying. Okay. So pressing mute is basically murdering someone. Yeah. It turns out, and tonight is the yearly Zoom quotes, because it's like something else. Zoom call that you have with your mum and all the other family members who happen to be at this gathering who are suspects. They do a quiz every year. So your goal as the only person who wasn't at this party and who Uncle Marcus trusts as someone who wasn't trying to kill him is to, go to the quiz, chat with all these real world people from, fully videoed 3D humans, and try and figure out who tried to poison Uncle Marcus. And if you can't find who poisoned him, the doctors have said that they can't narrow down the poison. So you need to find out who did it so you can find out what the poison is, or he will die. And there's a lot to unpack there, isn't there?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, how old is it, or is it a new game?
It's this year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a new game. It's Wales Interactive who do pretty much all the FMV games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got, I can't remember who Uncle Marcus is, but he's like in The Office, and I think he's in Jurassic World. Like, he's an actual known actor. Like, not like Andy someone, but yeah.
I'm looking at trying to find it now because I've just watched Jurassic World recently.
Oh yeah, you have. I remember now.
So like Andy Buckley,
who
I don't recognise.
No, apparently he plays someone called Scott, I believe, in Jurassic World, who I don't recall who he is.
No, I don't. Like I said, just watched that. Oh, it's not the dad of the kids, is it?
Oh, maybe it
from the
is.
start of the film. He looks a bit like it could be the dad of, the start of
Yeah,
Jurassic
yeah.
World. They're like the kids are going off, and it looks like mum and dad.
Hmm.
That was spoilers. Mum and dad are separating. It could be him.
It could be him, but he's been in the Office for a long time, so I assume he's someone fairly well known to like. I never watched the US Office, so he wasn't someone I particularly was aware of. But like, you don't really expect like someone in an FMV game to have a IMDb page that has anything other than other
Well,
FMV games a lot of the time.
to be honest with you, the cast here, like they've all got names, and then it's like Eileen Davis plays Nan,
Oh,
just Nan.
Nan's a great character.
That's all she.
What really sets this game apart are like
Probably
the
Silt.
characters are just stupid, larger than life, like really entertaining. Like the Nan is just like confused all the time. Like the camera starts pointing away from her. All the stereotypical tropes, but then alongside that, like at one point, your younger sister, who's like an influencer, starts talking about like who she was hooking up with, and Nan's really interested all of a sudden, and it's all of it weird and cheeky. You've got like there's a alcoholic auntie who's just horrible to everyone. Your
Played by
mum's quite
Susanna
like
Doyle. Literally looking at her now.
there she is. You've got like this your mum's sort of like this awful
Holy shit!
controlling.
She was in Drop the Dead Donkey. I do know who that is. I wouldn't have known her real name, but I do know who Susanna Doyle is. Huh.
Yeah,
Indiana
I mean
the young
all the
Indiana Jones. About a boy, the film about a boy.
Oh really?
At the End of the Fucking World, that TV show that's recent. She's
Oh yeah,
done
that's
right.
quite good.
I mean, there's a chap here who's born literally, who apparently was born September the 13th, 1995. Robbie Kay. He's literally 10 minutes down the road from me where he was born, and he plays Bradley. So
Oh, Bradley's a good character. Yeah,
there you
they're
go.
all like they're all quite larger than life characters. They're kind of like they're acted up to 11 just for like the entertainment of it. What's kind of interesting about the game actually is each like you essentially have different runs. So like it takes about an hour to get to the end of the quiz, and how the quiz works is like each round everyone splits up into pairs, but the pairs change throughout
Okay.
the quiz. Like it's a really weird setup, but they kind of comment on like it's a weird family tradition that they've always had, and it just sort of means that there's an excuse for you to like be in a solo situation with one of the characters, and kind of like you can choose if you want to like focus on the quiz or if you want to try and see if you can like push your luck, and they'll like chat more about the family meeting and stuff like that, and you'll get more and more evidence as you go. But yeah, it takes about like an hour, maybe less than an hour, to go through to the end of what is essentially the end of the game. But
Right.
then when you replay, all the evidence you found you keep. So
Understood.
you go into the game knowing like your character shouldn't know, I guess.
Yeah, but it does.
But you go into the game in your like folder of like this about this character, this about this character, and once you get to a certain amount, it lets you accuse them at the end of the game essentially. So you sort of like it's almost it's and there are a few bits that change as well. Like sometimes they'll ask different questions out of nowhere that are just not the same. It's almost like it's a roguelike, but very much not quite, because it's
like
also a
FMV.
weird FMV game. But it's very bizarre. But I absolutely love it. It's
Fair enough.
the exact amount of stupid, and I love the whole. I love the genre in media of like this is happening on a Zoom call, like the horror film was it Unfriended quite a few years ago and stuff like that. There's always like I love the idea that like you can just make a film or a game and it can just be people at home with their cameras, and it's kind of like it's a situation you can kind of relate to as well, especially after COVID times. Like there's not anyone who hasn't tried Zoom anymore.
No, there's just people saying the word Zoom, and you think, "Blimey, I didn't know you ever used a computer before." But
Yeah, seriously.
before we get on to like I didn't ask for listener correspondence officially this week because we couldn't, because the man's not here to perform his live jingle. But in the live chat, Mikhail asks, "How has Lyle not watched the US Office?"
I'd never really appealed to me, I guess.
I
just
haven't seen it either. Never.
No. I
I've
quite liked the original UK Office.
But that's the thing, like, and I know everyone's gonna go, oh, but the American one's different and it's the best ever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I have a thing because like way back when, like when I was, impressionable youth watching things like Red Dwarf, and then they tried to do the American version of that, and it was just a car crash. I've always got it in my head as like, why do you need to remake something that's kind of already current? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that's. I mean, I guess if they did it now, fair enough. But like, at the time when like the US office came out, I didn't feel like there was enough separation between the original office like airing, and then I might be wrong.
Yeah, from what I know as well, I think like the first season of the US office was basically like almost scene for scene the same, but with like kind of different characters, and then they kind of quickly realized they're gonna have to do their own thing.
I mean, I don't know if it ever went ahead. I vaguely remember them. Not them, but somebody trying to make like an American version of the In-Betweeners as well. And and I don't know if that ever got made, but I remember seeing a clip or something of it, and it was like, "This, you've not." That's. I'm not saying The Office is, but like the In-Betweeners feels like something like quintessentially kind of British. Like they are British school kids. That is the reason it was successful, is because the people watching it was of the audience that were those kids.
100%. Yeah, I'm.
You were
totally
so and so. Like someone, the guy who thought he was the J. Or you know what I mean. Like, and it's like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure the US office is terrific. It's just I've never. I'm like hundreds of episodes of it as well now, so it's like.
Oh yeah, it must be like it went so much longer, obviously, than the UK office that had like 2 seasons, I think, and a Christmas special. But yeah, no, just not something I ever wanted to do. I'm the same as you in that when I see that something's like they're trying to adapt something that is very regional, like the In-Betweeners. The American Shameless is painful to watch in every way. That's like one of the worst TV shows I've ever watched. I don't know why I watched it, but yeah, they lived in a massive house, and I just didn't understand why they didn't understand they were supposed to be poor.
Like,
so
I don't remember it happening the other way ever. Like, I don't remember anyone trying to make an English version or UK version of Friends, or do you know what I mean? I don't. It doesn't seem to happen the other way. Maybe it does, and I've just not seen it. But again, this is unofficial because the jingle hasn't played.
No.
But McPoo from Discord has said, have you talked about State of Play yet? And is there any hopes or predictions for State of Play? Now, as we record this, and probably as you're listening to it, this is in the past. But for us right now, at the time of recording it, State of Play is happening tonight. I think 11 p.m. UK time, and I don't even know if they've said how long it's going to be. There's been various leaks, as there always is. Let's start with the hopes. Let's start with the predictions, because I think that's
predictions.
Because I think hopes can be, I mean, the thing I'll say is I think they're gonna. I think they've already said that they're gonna do PSVR 2 stuff, haven't they? Like they're very clear to that, and they've also said they're gonna. In fact, sorry, no, they have said nearly 30 minutes of trailers and announcements. I'm looking at it now, so it doesn't actually say anything apart from we'll have some exciting reveals from our third-party partners, plus a sneak peek at several games in development for PlayStation VR 2. And they have said the Horizon, Call of the Mountain, the VR one of them, supposedly the first AAA PSVR game, will be shown. I think prediction-wise, I think. You'd like to think they would give it a price or a date at this point, because if they're going to start showing it this much, and we know dev kits are out, but I do think June's a bit too early. I mean, it really depends if this is their summer thing. Like, is this their summer thing, or I mean, I think they don't do like 2 a month very often.
No, it feels like this is kind of it. So,
but it's also quite early.
Yeah,
like they're certainly getting out ahead of everybody else, saying, Nintendo hasn't announced anything yet. We don't know if that'll happen. Xbox, we know, is happening. When is it? Is it the 11th, 9th? Somewhere over that area, middle of the month towards then. Yeah. Predictions then. So what do you, do you think you predict we will...
Okay. It's difficult because, I mean, I guess I'm going to predict something else for the PlayStation VR 2, because they've mentioned that specifically. I think they'll have some sort of Astrobot based thing for the PSVR 2, because they did for the first one. It was such a big like that was where Astrobot was like
It's
this
born,
big
yeah.
breakout thing. Yeah, it was where Astrobot was born, and it feels like if they're bringing out and trying to make it a high profile VR launch, then it's soon, that would be a good thing to tack along with it. Maybe even if it's not coming at like with the launch of the VR, if it's like kind of this is a big reason why you'll also want it, because everyone really really loved Astrobot when they bought their PS5. Like,
but then look, assuming, rightly or wrongly, assuming that this PSVR is going to be their big holiday thing, let's say,
yeah,
it will have been a good 2 years since Astro's Playroom.
yeah.
So like, it's not impossible that could be a
Definitely
launch
not
thing. I wonder if they give it away free again. I wonder if they make it an Astrobots, 2, and it's free with PSVR. That would be quite. I'm genuinely interested to see the price. Like, I don't think you'll get a price for that. That's a really good shout. I mean, prediction wise, I think God of War will appear Ragnarok. I think it.
Yeah, that was my other.
I think it's part prediction, part hope, because I feel like if they don't show it, I think we know what that means.
Yeah, I think God of War Ragnarok's appearance will very much telegraph everything you need to know about when God of War Ragnarok's coming.
I will say what I would take is if they say, hey, and just to let you know, we haven't forgotten about Ragnarok. We're going to be doing a special state of play just for that, because they do that.
Yeah, they do.
So that's if it doesn't appear, I'm not like, well, that's definitely not coming this year. Sony recently, in terms of like the way they've marketed games, they have kind of like, Gran Turismo's out in a couple of months, so bang, state of play for Gran Turismo. They did another one, didn't they? What was the other game they did that with? Ghost of Tsushima they did that with. Yeah. I'm sure there was another more recent one.
Did they do it for Horizon or not? It feels like they should have done. Yeah,
I think they did do it with Horizon just before. I think about a month before, actually. Yeah, a month and a half. So I wouldn't be like, if God of War doesn't show up, I wouldn't be like, well, that's definitely not coming this year. But I just wonder if they must know the hype. They must know the kind of sort of clamouring desperation for that game to just not mention it at all, even if it is just to say, hey, we'll talk about that soon. This is more about PSVR and
it does. It just feels like it needs a little bit of a mention at the very least, just so that people aren't like terrified it's not coming, because people are worried.
What they could do is they could say, hey, we haven't, a bit like the Nintendo do, hey, we haven't forgotten about Ragnarok, but by the way, God of War's on PlayStation Plus this month, because it is. So like that kind of matches up. Like, that would be a way of doing it without having to show anything earlier than they want, but without also calming people down who are panicking about it. I mean, if this is their big thing, then you would have to assume some big games, wouldn't you?
You would. But like, so many of them I just don't really believe are going to be that soon. Like Final Fantasy 16, I think people are thinking could show up. And
that's like, my hope. That's my hope.
I mean, I'd like that. Don't get me wrong. I especially after 7 Remake, like the next Final Fantasy for me shot right up in my estimations after being kind of like, I loved the old ones and kind of felt I was drifting away from the series a bit. Like, I'm not drifting away anymore. Like, I want that as soon as possible, please.
So, I mean, the other thing is, as well as, again, I think given that that's console exclusive, and I think I can't remember the name, Forspoken, right? Forspoken. I think that falls into the same category, and I think they do an individual state of play for both of those games.
Yeah,
we're in weird territory now with games in that like people seem to do showcases on those games, but also if you just do that, then what have you got for your big multiple showcase thing like this?
Yeah, because at the moment they're like, I'm assuming they're gonna, like, we're supposed to be seeing sort of like somewhere between like 8 and 15 games in a showcase of this length, maybe. And I don't feel like I can get up to sort of like 3 or 4 that I'm certain will be there. Like, I have no real idea what's coming, and maybe that's exciting, but it kind of remains to be seen. It very much depends what they're willing to say is okay to talk about as part of a bigger show, as opposed to having its own dedicated thing like they appreciate doing nowadays.
So we both have the same hope then, really, that Final Fantasy 16 is this year confirmed, and it's not far off.
It's definitely on there, yeah. I mean, if I'm going pie in the sky dreams, I'm hoping for Parappa the Rapper 3. That's what I need. That's what I
Yeah.
want more than anything else. So,
I'm going to go ahead and predict that is not going to happen. Unless it's
but
PSVR somehow, that would be something.
that would be the one thing that would make sure that I buy a PSVR. So,
Maybe they
so
know that.
they've got one whole purchase right there.
Mm. In the chat, we've also got a live chat question from Fernando. Who says a 60 frames per second patch has just dropped for Assassin's Creed Origins. Should I buy it for €10? I haven't played it. Haven't played the series since Unity. I don't think you play them. Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, it sounds like a good deal. I'm going to say yes, regardless.
Yeah, like Unity was the last of the old Assassin's Creed games in that they all played that way. And Origins, I can't remember if that was the first one or the second one.
It was the first one. Yeah, okay. Origins is the like Egypt one, isn't it?
That's right. Really good game. Like it's very different. It introduces the gear elements and that. It doesn't go as far with it as say like a Valhalla. I would say if you're looking for that kind of thing, I would have a look just to see what price Valhalla is, because I think of the three modern of the three newest style Assassin's Creeds, I think Valhalla is probably the best. So it's worth just having a look to see if it could, maybe you can pick that up even second hand or something, like in a supermarket for like €15 or something. And I would say if you can. But then if you really want to play through all three of them, then yeah, just get Origins and start there. But you won't see. You'll see a massive change between Unity and Origins, and then you'll see a smaller change from Origins through to Valhalla. But like they do get better. But $10 is it's a lot of game for €10. Sorry,
yeah,
that's a lot of game. They are big games now. I mean, they always were pretty long, the Assassin's Creed series, but once they hit Origins and they started doing the full sort of RPG stuff, they really did.
They really did always feel long enough, though, didn't they?
They did. There was enough game there before, and they just made them even bigger. And I am a fan of them. I just haven't finished one since about 3, because they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and I kept getting less and less time. But yeah, that's a podcast for this week. If you did enjoy this podcast, hang on, breaking news. We have more questions that have just come in.
Hell yeah!
I was worried, but Mikhail has come up with his standard questions for all of us. So I'm going to he's got the same question for both of us. But his questions for you are: forget about Elden Ring. When are you going to watch the US Office?
When am I going to watch the US Office? I don't think I'm going to. I'm sorry. I could, but I also know I won't. Okay. I just know it's not going to happen, and I'm sorry. It might be great, but it seems unlikely I ever will. I also know that my partner, I think he would like that much less than I would, so that's even less likely. Like I'm not going to monopolize the TV or wait until I'm on my own. Like if I'm on my own, I've got review stuff to do.
Fair. He also wants to know what's your favourite Seinfeld episode.
I couldn't name a Seinfeld episode off the top of my head. I have seen some Seinfeld. I don't dislike Seinfeld, but it was a little before my time, I guess, as the youthful member of the podcast.
He asks me the same question, and I'm kind of going to have to answer very similar to you in that I don't remember a single episode. It was not, though, however, before my time. So what I would say is I like the episode where George sounds most like Duckman. And hopefully someone knows what I'm talking about. This question's to both of us as well. Have either of you played Vampire Survivors? No. So that's me done. No.
No. Oh. Also no. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what then. There's one further question for me. It's a 3-parter, and we can both answer these. You got to pick one without thinking about it. Okay. So there's two things, and you have to just pick one without thinking about it. Witcher 3 or Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
Valhalla.
Witcher 3 for me. Okay. Monster Hunter World or Destiny 2?
Monster Hunter World.
Same for me, easily. Now, this next one's a bit of a bastard. I'm going to warn you. Okay.
Will it be a bastard for me, though?
Yeah, no, I think it will. This is a genuinely difficult question. I think I know my answer, but you've got to just go bang. So, Switch Pro controller or DualSense controller?
DualSense. I've never used a Switch Pro controller, so
it's the same for me. Like that thing. That thing's it's kind of such a game changer that it's like, well, look, the games that you can get now on PS5 that are also on Xbox Series X are so similar fidelity-wise that like it actually I would say sometimes play the PlayStation 5 version. Like if Returnal was available on Xbox, I'd still say play it on PlayStation because of the feedback. And you're starting to see some third parties do this now as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's slowly trickling in more and more, isn't it? The DualSense,
it is
haptics and triggers and whatnot getting used.
Although I will say that Switch Pro controller is genuinely magic. It feels so nice.
I mean, also cast out both of those controllers and buy the Xbox Pride 2022 controller that has loads of flags on it and looks awesome.
Yeah, no, that's a good controller. They do make nice custom controllers, like the one I use on my PC. I've shown it before. The Forza Horizon one, I do very much like their custom controllers.
Yeah.
But that is a podcast for this week. That's definitely it this time. Lyle, thanks for being here.
It's been a pleasure.
For everyone else, go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, where for $1 you get this podcast early, or £1, whatever in your currency. I should say pound first, really, because that's the currency from where I am, or €1 or $1 or whatever. You get the podcast early. You get access to our Discord, where you can interact with our lovely, growing, burgeoning community, who are all really nice people, actually, including Lyle. Lyle's there as well, just to make that.
I'm also there.
And Chris Hyde, who's not here this week, but he probably is in Discord somewhere. Well, he definitely is. I don't know if he is right now, but he's in Discord. You will get early access to other stuff. There's exclusive podcasts, giveaways, all sorts of stuff that you will only find via patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. And if you don't know, we are also a website. We were a website before we were a channel. So go to godisageek.com. Again, Lyle, thanks for being here. And to everybody else, we will speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.